What is up, people? You are listening and watching New Generation Hero Talk. I am your host, EJ Stu. We have a big show lined up for you guys today. We got to talk about a lot of things going on. We had a season finale for Daredevil this week that people are still buzzing about. Big ramifications for the Daredevil franchise and some MCU debuts. We'll also be talking about X-Men 97 and some promo art that's come out. We got some big DC studio news regarding the Batman and a movie that has not been officially announced, but directors are being sought after for a Deathstroke Bane film. So much to do, so much fun to have. Glad to be back with this edition of New Generation Hero Talk. Joining me are my co-hosts, starting with Shamari Stewart. Kendall's here as well, and one of the stories that I think we've been paying attention to over the last few days that's been quite interesting to follow has been this news that perhaps we may not see Matt Shakman, who is the director for the first Fantastic Four First Steps movie that came out last year. Turns out, according to some reports, he may not be returning as the director for Fantastic Four sequel, whether that comes out. Now, the Fantastic Four movie, I think among fans, well received. Did not necessarily have the best box office opening, and that was seen as a disappointment for Marvel. Shamari, I'll go to you first with this one. Are you surprised that Marvel may be pulling the shoot on moving forward with Matt Shakman as a sequel director for the Fantastic Four?
I was a little surprised because he did so well with the first one, but I know the first one was like kind of a period piece thing, and then this one, or I would imagine, of course, we'll see how things go with all these upcoming movies, but I'd imagine the sequel would be more of an open book in terms of what it could look like, what it could feel like. Um, and I think with this team, you like a director, as long as you've seen the movie, you know how the characters are. So
Mm-hmm.
I feel like a director, a good writer, can write around these characters, and the cast is talented enough and has good enough chemistry to where, like, I could see any good director that likes this property and likes this content, um, doing good work with it. So it is surprising, but I don't think it's the worst thing in the world. I also don't know if Marvel has an idea at this point in time. Maybe, I mean, I don't know, but they have an idea of what they want the movie to look or feel like, or if they've even thought that far ahead. And maybe Matt Shakman and his type of movie, or at least the type of movie the first one was, is not at all what they're looking to do with the sequel.
Right.
So it's one of those things it is a bit surprising just because of how good the first one was, but to me, it's not like anything to be alarmed about. And I am, I'm still very much looking forward to the sequel whenever it comes out. I think they have a good cast in place, a good kind of story and basis. So,
Yep.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and Kendall is here as well, of course. Like, I feel like, to me, we've seen Marvel do this before with the period piece first movie being directed by somebody that introduces the character, and then when you move the character forward into the present day, new director is being cast, right? It worked extremely well with Captain America, where Captain America, one was not directed by the Russo brothers, and of course when they get Winter Soldier and they get Civil War, then the Russo brothers take over and they take Captain America to new heights. And in many ways, with a new setting and a new period, being a contemporary movie, in some ways, it makes sense maybe to shift the vision for where the team needs to be for the position that they're in the current day. Especially what the position will be post Secret Wars, which could be a very different universe, not just for the Fantastic Four who will be leaving the universe that they're in, but for everyone involved with Marvel. And we saw them do it maybe not with as much success with Captain Marvel, but same thing. Right now, DaCosta ended up taking over the second move when she did the Marvel. So we've seen Marvel do this before. So from that standpoint, it's not surprising. I'm wondering if people will point to the kind of disappointing box office and wonder if Matt Shakman got moved off of this project because they thought that he didn't do enough to bring to the box office. I don't think that is that. I think that is more of simply creative storytelling and seeing a new vision now that the team's in a new environment. Do you agree with that?
I think that's a part. I think it's certainly part of it. he did. We just got an announcement this week that he signed on to do the next Planet of the Apes movie,
Hmm.
which is in the Disney family. I
Yep.
don't. It's not competitive, right? I mean, it takes its time, but again, it's Disney, so I don't think that it's like, oh, I'm moving to Warner Brothers, so I gotta let
Right.
go of Marvel. And I'd imagine that a Marvel MCU movie like the Fantastic Four sequel is probably ahead of his ambition than Planet of the Apes, but I could be wrong about that. I don't know. But regardless, um, when you talk about like the creative aspect of it, I agree that it's not a performance thing, in my opinion. I think because we saw Jake Schreier, the Thunderbolts didn't
That's
make a
true.
ton of money either, and then they went and gave him the X Men, right? So
Yeah.
I don't. I think they, clearly can see, they have the eye for talent to some degree and feel like, all right, we know what's good work and what's not. Whether the box office, there's other reasons why the box office for all these Marvel movies is down. And so I don't know if they were going to take too much. Of course, the Thunderbolts, not the Fantastic Four, um, but that's just another example of how they've operated in that manner.
Definitely.
But I think you guys make great points. I mean, again, of course, the initial plan was for it to be John Watts when they first announced it. And when they moved off of Watts and they moved on to Shakman, we all saw the fit that he was given his time working on WandaVision and the
Yeah.
very cartoony period aspect that he was able to bring to WandaVision that he could then bring to the Fantastic Four, which he did tremendously. He also was working on a Star Trek movie for Paramount before he got put on to Fantastic Four, and so we saw the space element kind of be brought into
Yeah.
life, and maybe versions of whatever he had planned for a Star Trek movie brought into his Fantastic Four idea. And so, if the sequel to the Fantastic Four is not going to be a period piece, and if it's not going to be a space centric movie, maybe they feel like we don't need Matt Shakman as much anymore, right?
Mm.
Um, Again, I'm speculating, but I think that I think that those are certainly reasons for why this could happen, along with again the conflict of scheduling conflicts and all that. Um, I guess the question is like, what do we want from the second Fantastic Four movie? Are we expecting or hoping? Again, like you guys said, we'll probably get something in the present day MCU, whatever that looks like, post Secret Wars. And again, is it going to be a more grounded movie that doesn't involve space, doesn't involve Galactus and Silver Surfer, or a nihilist or anything like that? We've already seen Mole Man, so I don't think it's going to be a Mole Man type thing, but like,
Yeah, and Mo
you
Man's
know,
not really like a villain per se in this world, and that they've.
yeah,
And also,
exactly.
obviously, Mo Man also was like he was living in the '60s. I don't even know if he's alive, unless
Yeah, who
maybe
knows what this universe looks like? Yeah,
yeah, in theory, I guess it's a new universe. They could reimagine him in this world being much more of like an actual villain. Like there's things they
right.
could do, I guess, in theory, but I don't know if that's where they're going.
Yeah, so um, yeah, I mean, there's obviously plenty of Fantastic Four villains. Of course, Doctor Doom being chief among them. We
Yeah,
kind of moved off of the idea of Doctor Doom being a Fantastic Four villain because of what they're doing with Doomsday. But that, of course, is still in the cards as well. And again, maybe they don't want. Maybe the Russos are doing the next Fantastic Four movie for all we know. Like there's a whole lot of questions about what the plan is for Doom and the Fantastic Four going forward. But um, it's fascinating though because again, I don't think anybody. I think we all assumed like, oh, what's Max Shackman going to do for the sequel? And he's sitting there, like Magic Johnson, like I'm not going to be here. So big question
for sure.
going forward.
Yeah, I mean, you talk about villains, and it's funny because you mentioned again with Doom being such a prominent villain in Secret Wars. Maybe you can't really do him in a Fantastic Four movie. I don't know. I think you still can. I think it sounds like I don't think Robert Downey. I don't think this is a one-off. I think he's going to continue as Doom. At least that's my view of it. I could be
Yeah,
wrong. We'll see. But the one guy who I think could be interesting, and I think we'll see how many interactions they have with him in the Doomsday Secret Wars dynamic. But what about Namor? I mean, what about bringing him back in a major way? He was a very, very strong piece in the Black Panther Wakanda Forever, and we know the very complicated relationship he has with the Fantastic Four. I would love for Namor maybe to be brought back as a villain or a major character, foil potentially for the Fantastic Four in a sequel. So we'll have to see what they end up doing with a new director. But big news there with Matt Shakman not expected to continue with the Fantastic Four franchise after doing the first Fantastic Four movie from Marvel Studios. So let's shift gears here, though, and talk about some of the big things that happened this week. And I gotta tell you guys, Daredevil Born Again certainly outdid themselves, I believe, with this season. They had their season 2 finale this week. I had to go to the Brandon Davis live Q&A, which was a also official Daredevil Born Again season 2 finale watch party. Shout out to Brandon Davis. Shout out to everybody at Phase Zero. Phase Hero. Sorry, that's a new show he has. It was an awesome event in terms of watching that show, watching that episode in a theater setting. It actually made me curious about whether or not, Marvel, not to say I'm trying to get Disney more money, but it actually made me curious. Could Marvel actually monetize putting out big episodes of Daredevil or some of their other Disney Plus shows by putting them in some select theaters? Because that crowd was into it. It was loud, it was fun, and it was an experience that was worthy of a theater experience. So much so that I kind of like, it was a 50-minute episode, and I'm like, oh man, I'm thinking, because I'm in a movie theater, I'm like, oh wait, like this feels too short. Like, wait, there's no more, it's over. Like, but that's how much it was well suited in that setting. I thought that the season 2 finale was phenomenal. Of course, it wrapped up with a episode that was explosive and sets up many major developments for season 3. So for those that are watching this episode or listening to this episode, if you have not watched Daredevil season 2, or you've not watched the finale and you do not want to be spoiled, this is the part of the show where perhaps you should fast forward maybe 15 minutes to get to the next segment that we'll have. But we will talk in a full spoiler way about what happened at the end of season 2 of Daredevil Born Again. So this is your full spoiler warning for anybody that does not want to be spoiled. If you did not watch it but you want to hear our thoughts on the matter, you can all sit in and be fine. But I'm just letting you know we are talking in full spoiler mode when it comes to Daredevil season 2 finale. And what we saw was Matt Murdock's return to public life and the courtroom lead to the exposure of Wilson Fisk as the mayor and his illegal activity after putting Mayor Fisk on the stand in what was one of the better court scenes you will probably ever see. It was awesome. It also came at a cost for Matt Murdock because he revealed his own secret identity in a very Robert Downey Jr.-esque I am Iron Man. This time it is I am Daredevil moment, which was amazing. The theater I was in exploded. This was definitely a The Rock, put your goosebumps on your arm and feel how you're feeling kind of moment. Incredible moment for the show. And it then culminated in what was a riot at the courthouse. You saw Wilson Fisk having his own basically, hallway scene, smashing through a bunch of pro-Daredevil protesters, and it all led to a final standoff where both Murdock and Fisk agreed that it was best for both of them and for New York City for them to leave their post, which meant Matt Murdock was going to have to take accountability legally for his actions as Daredevil and be sent to jail, and that Kingpin would have to leave his mayoralship and leave and head into exile because of the damage that he had done to New York City and how much he had separated and divided people. So this was a huge episode. We also saw at the end the official return of Luke Cage. We saw him mentioned in earlier episodes, and we see him in his full form. Mike Coulter is back. We've seen, obviously, the set photos that have been leaking all over the place, but we actually saw him in this episode and confirmed that, of course, he and Jessica Jones have a daughter, and they're together. And he says that he's done working with Mr. Charles, who then also was called Mr. Robinson. I had a lot of questions with Mr. Charles. Done working with him, done working with Val because he had been replaced by somebody else who was then revealed to be Bullseye. So huge episode of Daredevil season 2 Born Again in terms of the finale. I'll go to Kendall first. Did the finale and the season as a whole for you deliver?
For sure. I mean, you mentioned the whole idea of Marvel doing the kind of theater experience for these kind of shows and the finales. And I mean, I think you were lucky to have gone to this one because I think this is arguably the best finale they've done. for Marvel Television since the inception of Disney Plus. That's been a bit of a struggle for them. It's been the idea of landing the plane, right? So some of these shows have been good, but it's like, all right, what's the finale going to do? Is it going to live up to what the show has been? And sometimes it hasn't met the mark. And this one had a lot to accomplish, and it again. Look, the penultimate was awesome. The shout out Daniel Blake, R.I.P. That was a hell of a run for Gandolfini's son. But but they had a lot to live up to going into that episode, and again, they met the mark in every way. I thought, I was literally, when I was watching the penultimate episode, I was thinking to myself, like, it was during the trial of Karen Page or whatever, before Murdoch walks in, and I'm like, man, like we've had like no Matt Murdock court scenes in this season. Like this is getting kind of weird. Like this is a Daredevil show. Like I know they wanted to go away from the Law and Order thing, but like we were getting all these other people. I'm like, where's Murdoch? And then he walks in, and that becomes a thing. And I mean, you mentioned the court scene, how it evolved in this episode with Fisk walking in there. And I mean, look, I don't watch much Law and Order. I'm sure there's some great scenes in that show, but Franklin and Bash or any other court procedural that people watch. But
I feel like most people who love court procedures will probably be like, how the hell did you mention Law and Order in the same sentence as Franklin and Bash? If you love that medium, I think those are not two things that are equal. That'd be like saying, like hip hop music. I like, Jay-Z and, Bow Wow. And you're like, wait, what?
that comes from you're watching the NBA playoffs for years and it being on TNT and it coming on like right after the playoffs or after or in the morning after. It's like they're showing reruns of Franklin and Bash. But regardless, that is a scene that I think stacks up with anything you'll have seen in any television drama. So like you said, it was awesome. And just how their whole episode unfolded, just moment after moment, it was really made for a theater type experience for sure. Like it was just tons of OMG moments, WTF moments, that sparked off from that episode. And again, just tremendous acting performances from Charlie Cox, D'Onofrio, Deborah Wall. The list goes on and on.
Yeah, and I'm glad Kendall mentioned Charlie Cox's acting there, Sham, because sometimes I think because of how strong this cast is with D'Onofrio, with William Bethel, there's sometimes a thought to point to how good everyone else is, but like this show works because of how great Charlie Cox is as Matthew Murdock and Daredevil, and there had been a complaint that maybe we're not seeing enough Matthew Murdock in this season. To be honest, one of the big complaints from last season was there wasn't enough Daredevil. So I feel like you kind of can't win whichever way you go. And the whole point of last season was trying to shift the story so you get enough Daredevil to satisfy people who like the Netflix show. But I feel like sometimes we lose sight of how great an actor Charlie Cox is, and whether you talk about that courtroom scene or that final confrontation on the steps, like his delivery and the emotion and the intentionality with how he talks to Fisk, and it's amazing. I mean, he is one of the best castings Marvel has ever done. Obviously, Marvel Studios didn't do this one. This was a Marvel TV Jeff Loeb thing that started this. And when we think about the great castings of all time when it comes to superhero content, I think sometimes we lose sight of Charlie Cox's place perhaps on that Mount Rushmore, because who he was in that courtroom scene, it felt like I was reading a Daredevil comic book, or I was watching some other Daredevil medium that was not an actual live action. There was no I'm watching a TV show. It felt like I was actually watching something that was real, and I think Cox doesn't get enough credit for just how phenomenal he is and why he is the franchise player for this particular franchise, Sham.
Yeah, no, shout out to Charlie Cox. He does an amazing job as Matt Murdock and Daredevil. Um, I mean, he's the star of the show, and it's for good reason. Um, he just elevates the character. There's a he just brings that kind of he just adds that, I guess, that like everyman that Matt Murdock is supposed to have, even though he is such a such a kind of skilled lawyer. But he kind of uses his kind of legal experience for good. Even you see that even in the the clients he has and the decisions he makes. And it was interesting even seeing in those flashbacks with Foggy,
Yeah.
and seeing and this show did such a good job of showing like kind of the gray areas of the legal world, because even the debates that they were having about the guy, and it's like, oh, well, should he um you know uh should we present this evidence that would exonerate him? And Matt's like, well, he's not a good guy, right? Like
Right.
this is not a good man. Like this person going to prison would probably help a lot of people, right? And it's like he does such a good job as Matt Murdock. And yeah, that when he walks into that courtroom, you just get that sense of like, oh, this was, and you also get a sense of like, this was missing. This was kind of missing from,
Hmm.
and I didn't even realize it when you walked in the courtroom. I was like, oh man, this is good. We haven't seen this. We haven't seen him in this kind of in this world in a little bit. Um, so yeah, Charlie Cox is amazing. I thought the finale was amazing. Also speaking of Charlie Cox, I actually have a Expedition 33.
Oh,
He
dope.
voices the main character in this video game, which
Dope.
is amazing. So he does a great job at that as well. But yeah, Charlie Cox was incredible. The season was incredible. This finale is definitely, I think, I would probably agree. I'd have to go back and look at some of the other finales, but I would probably agree. I would say this was, even though it didn't have like a ton of action, it wasn't like, but like a good half of it was in a courtroom.
Yeah.
It wasn't like the
Yeah,
most action. It
it
wasn't.
wasn't 50 minutes of
Yeah,
them boxing
yeah. It
some
wasn't.
supervillain.
Yeah, exactly. It wasn't the most action-packed finale probably that
There's
we've
a lot of
had.
goons throwing a lot of goons around.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but the action
Throwing a lot
that
of
was in this,
ATP.
but the action that was in this episode was awesome. I mean,
yeah. It was.
Wilson
Yeah, it was
Fisk,
fantastic.
Wilson Fisk in that hallway scene is just like one of my
Yeah, no.
favorite things I've ever
Let
seen Daredevil do.
so that's a question that I think a lot of people have had coming off of the Fisk stuff is what is the deal with Fisk and maybe even Bullseye to a lesser degree, but certainly Fisk in this MCU being so strong. Like we've talked about this with Hawkeye, right? When we saw him, we were like, this Fisk was strong in the original Netflix show, but he wasn't doing that stuff they were doing in Hawkeye. And it's been now, I think this scene more than anything, I mean, of course, him breaking the person's skull in season 1 was nuts as well. But like
Right.
this one, I was like, damn, this is the Hulk, So what do you think what do you think is their story? Like, is he a mutant?
So I thought it. I
Was
thought it
it
was.
Serum, or is he just some kid that was just really strong growing up? And
Yeah, I mean, I think he's just. I don't. To be, I'll be frank. I'm not. As comic whatever. I don't know what
right, there might be
exactly it is in the
right,
comics.
right.
I'm okay with him just being just extremely strong. Um,
Right.
you know, whether it's you want to call it a mutant or whatever, I don't know, but I'm okay with him just being really strong. I thought it was handled much better in this season than it
Yeah, I agree.
was in
In
like
Hawkeye.
Hawkeye or the other stuff where he's showing that crazy strength, because it wasn't cartoony. It wasn't like a cartoon character. It was like, no, this is it was like terrifying, and he was playing the same Fisk that we've always seen. And he's always been very strong, to be honest. Even in the original series, he was kind
Yeah,
of
he's
seemingly
certainly
unnaturally strong.
yeah.
But
He's certainly much stronger now.
yeah, and they're kind of towing that line of like, they're not having him throw cars or throw
Yeah.
car doors and stuff like
He's
that.
not Rhino,
Yeah,
but he's
like,
pretty
Everything he's
close.
doing, yeah, everything he's doing is he's doing with against human people. Like we're not
yes,
seeing him up against anybody super powered and
yeah,
doing something insane. Like the way Wilson Fisk has been developed in the comics, he's always been described as someone who just has peak human strength. So think about a world's strongest man type of person. He has that level of
Right.
strength. So, I mean, in theory, could that someone like that level of strength who wanted to kill people, could they do that kind of damage? They probably could do something pretty close to that. And it wasn't like it was so out. Like, to be honest, I didn't think that the strength in terms of me, I didn't think it was too over the top, Kendall, for this episode. Like, when he gets like mobbed by all those Daredevil people in that awesome shot like, at the top of the stairs,
Yeah.
like they took him out. Like he got jumped. Like it took 30 people, but he did get jumped. Like the Hulk would be able to throw those people off. Like or Thor would be able to throw those people. Like he couldn't. Like so there was they did I think do a good job at the end showing the limit to his strength. Like he can't box 70 people. Like he can't. Like he 100
like
men
that,
versus
like
Wilson Fisk. 100 men win. Right?
Gorilla. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not 100 men versus the gorilla and one who's 100 men versus Wilson Fisk. We learned that the 100 men win. So, yeah, I didn't think it was too over the top. He definitely is extremely strong, but I didn't think it was. I think that they toed the line. Like Shamari said, I think they got to the point where I think you could suspend disbelief enough to be like, yeah, he's just really, really strong and much stronger than anybody he fights, including Daredevil. And he's massive. I mean, he looks huge. Yes. So it's not like it's like a surprise when you see him doing things he's doing just because how large he is. So I love that scene. I'm like, man, this is you know what it reminded me of? It reminded me of Spider-Man 2, the video game, when you get to play. Spoiler alert for those who know that game, but you've seen the promo art even. There's this part in the game where you play as Venom, and all the things you were doing as Spider-Man now becomes you fighting, all these people as Venom. And it's like you think Spider-Man is brutal with some of the things he does in terms of how he beats those thugs up in that game. And then it's like, flip that, imagine if this was Venom and he's biting people's heads off and he's doing all the Venom things. You're like, this is insane. This is insane. And it is heightened up the level of intensity of this scene that we already know was going to be intense. And it made me hope that one day, they actually gave Wilson Fisk and Dave D'Onofrio the true, like, one-shot hallway, like, action scene. Like, I would love to see them give them that. But this was enough to even give us the splice. And I love the splicing of it, too. Because it also heightened his brutality. It didn't show Jessica and Matt still being brutal, but not cracking people's spines like the way Wilson Fisk was and all the things he was doing. It was just a masterclass of storytelling. I just thought it was a beautiful, beautiful is one way to put it. Well done scene for sure. Where do you feel like in terms of where things end with this? So Matt's in prison, and Fisk is on a beach in exile. I know Vincent D'Onofrio during that Q&A said that he has shot some insane, incredible things, and you will still see Wilson Fisk in the next season in a major way for season 3. How do you feel they left things off with both Matt and Fisk, and where things stand with them, Kendall?
Yeah, I mean, we, that the shot of Fisk on the beach reminded me so much of Shawshank Redemption, if anybody's seen that, where with Morgan Freeman, when he gets out of prison and he goes on the beach. This is very opposite. But
this was his prison. This is
him getting sent to exile in many ways.
And by the way, what great writing when you have the earlier scenes with him and Val, Vanessa, I'm sorry, and Vanessa being like, oh, remember our times on the beach and stuff, and he's like, I hate the beach, I hate the sand between us. Like, he doesn't like the beach. But he kind of says it only was okay because you were there. And then now that, like, for anybody, like, this beautiful beach would be a place that anybody would probably be okay with for most people. But this is a prison for him because he's Wilson Fisk. He does not like beaches because he's Wilson Fisk. And the only person that made these experiences for him palatable was the one person he cares about, who is dead, who was murdered. Like, I thought that the storytelling of that and the juxtaposition of him looking out in that ocean like he was looking out onto that wall like he used to with his dad beating his mom up, or looking at that painting, like, I was just like, this is cinema. Sorry, I couldn't cut you off. I just had to point out how strong I thought that was in terms of a storytelling decision that they made.
Yeah, I mean, I think we've seen Obviously, stuff with them filming season 3, and D'Onofrio's got a beard. Although I saw people say he didn't have a beard during the during the
He
Q&A.
did
So
not. Yeah,
yeah,
it's
so
definitely prosthetic. Definitely prosthetics or
yeah, it's either a prosthetic beard or he
yeah.
shaved it off and he's not using it anymore. but
Yeah.
um,
Matt
but
does have
yeah,
a beard. Matt does have a beard still,
okay,
and he's apparently going to have a beard in this season.
okay, there you go. So I mean,
And I say Matt being, of course, Charlie Cox.
right. Yeah, I mean, look, the Murdoch thing is very interesting because I mean, I told you guys like a lot of people got spoiled by Mike Coulter, posting a picture a month before the finale, picture of him and Deborah Ann Wall and Charlie Cox, and Murdoch's in a jumpsuit, an orange jumpsuit. And so, uh, a lot of people assumed, all right, so I guess he's ending up in prison somehow. We'll see how that plays out. And of course, as the episode plays out, you understand how it's going to happen. Still hits extremely well in the episode. Still lands extremely well. But yeah, I think that honestly, they're going to be in a situation where, of course, a lot of people are going to have questions about Spider-Man Brand New Day. I mean, I'm somebody that I've thought for a while that the Daredevil was going to be in it. I'm less confident now, for sure.
You're
I think
less
some people are more
confident now.
confident.
Yeah, a lot of
some
people are more
more
confident.
I'm less confident
I'm also less confident
because
Really?
now look, there are shots in the trailers where they're in a prison. Is that
Right. He's fighting the hand.
He's fighting the hand in the prison. It's possible. I'm not saying it's 0% chance.
Yeah, I can see it. Yeah.
I just don't think I think there's 0% chance we're gonna get some sort of Daredevil leaving the prison, doing all this stuff with Spider-Man when he's gonna have to be in prison by the time next season starts.
If
right?
he is, I would think it would be just an Easter egg type of thing. I wouldn't think that it would be
kind of like
like a shot in passing kind of thing.
Yeah, like No Way Home.
Yeah. Maybe even a little less. Yeah, just like
Charlie Cox sitting in the corner.
This
Superman video. I was in the back. Lose yourself video. I was in the back.
No, but like I feel like there's a lot going on in this Spider-Man movie. That's my only thing. I feel like or at least I don't know. I hope that the Marvel's trying to move.
Now
away.
again,
the hope Marvel's trying to move away from this thing where they have like 80 different.
Like we've said. I mean, they're the ones that decided to put the hand in the movie. And Daredevil. I mean, if you're throwing the hand in there.
Yeah, that's why I'm stunned. You guys are think it's less like he's in the movie. I think he's more likely he's in the movie. And I don't think
of him getting thrown in prison, you think he's more likely to show up.
Yeah,
and just everything that happens in this finale.
Yeah, because there's scenes in the trailer where he's fighting the hand in prison in New York. Why, if Matt Murdock is just chilling while this is happening, that would be odd. That would be
now. What is a different prison?
Oh, the hand. One of my number one ops and my friend Spider-Man. they're boxing out here. Oh, that's nice. And I'm just gonna sit and read. And he can't. Obviously he can't read a book normally. But I'm gonna do my scale thing to read my book or whatever. Like, no, of course he's gonna box with Spider-Man. He's gonna help him out. Like now, Spider-Man's not gonna break him out, and I don't think he should. Like Daredevil, Matt Murdock wouldn't want to be broken out of prison. Like Matt Murdock is he's a contradiction, but one of his contradictions is that he thinks of himself as someone who fully believes in the legal system and the justness of it. So I totally see the scene where they probably box a hand, they win. And Spider-Man's like, "Oh man, let's go." He's like, "No, I have a sentence. Like I gotta serve my sentence, or I got a court date. My court date tonight. My court. Yeah, seriously, like literally." I think he's Beast in X-Men the first season when he's waiting for his day in court. That is Matt Murdock. So there's no question to me that if that would happen, they'd have no problem writing that in the script. That Spider-Man he helps Spider-Man. They fend off the hand. But he's not getting broken out of prison. Again, that's not what Matt Murdock would want. Yeah. So yeah, I'm surprised. I actually think there's more likely he's going to be in it.
Yeah, and also thinking how weird Charlie Cox was acting at we were at that Comic-Con panel as well, and he was like, "Oh,
he was acting weird the other day."
Yeah. Wait, you showed Spider-Man already?
Oh, we showed it already. And it's like, oh, maybe, yeah. So now maybe he is.
And during the Q&A with Brandon, he was like, I don't know what to tell you guys. Like if I say no, you guys think that means yes, and I can't say yes, obviously, because that would mean yes. But I'm not in the movie. He's like, I don't know what to tell you. I'm not in the movie. But I mean, he seemed very squirmish and weird then. He couldn't even answer those questions straight. Like, I think he's in the movie. I'm telling you, I think he's in the movie. I would not have necessarily banked
I
on it
hope he
before
is.
watching this season, but it just would be weird to have a Spider-Man movie based in New York City where he's fighting the Hand.
In a prison.
Daredevil is nowhere to be found. I don't
And
like.
Matt Murdock's supposed to be in a prison in New York, and they decide to choose a different prison, right? Like it'd be like, why? You know?
Imagine if you did a movie with like Wonder Woman and somehow she landed in Gotham City and she's fighting the League of Assassins in a prison that Batman is in and he's just nowhere to be found. You'd be like, what's the point of that? Why? Where is Batman? Like that, it has to happen at this point. I feel like it has to happen, just because of how they think they set things up. I'm really excited about this arc of Matt in prison. Like, my friend James Holly, who has been on New Generation podcast network, New Generation Media in the past, and he spoke about how he read the run by Ed Brubaker, of Daredevil, where it's the Devil in Cell Block D, comics, which were awesome comics and speak a lot about this dynamic of Matt being in prison and what that looks like. I got to read these books, and I'm really excited to see how they move forward with this, because I think it is a great development for the character. Again, someone who is so in lockstep with believing the legal system, when the legal system isn't in a position that's advantageous to him, or he can't manipulate it the way he does consistently as Daredevil and Matt Murdock. How does he play with that? How does he deal with those challenges? Is something that I think is going to be fun to explore for sure. So man, shout out to Daredevil season 2, Born Again. I thought this was a phenomenal season. I've said I thought that this was the best season finale of any Daredevil season, both Disney and Netflix, with the exception of season 3. I think nothing will top season 3. Season 3 is just on another level in terms of a finale, and I think overall just the season. But this is right there. This, to me, this finale was right there, right behind it. I feel like as a phenomenal season finale. I thought it was better than season 2's finale, which wasn't that great. Was better than season 1's finale, which was really good, but I don't think matched this level. This was top tier. This was an awesome season finale and an awesome season. There's so much more we can get into, but we got to move on. But shout out to Daredevil, Born Again, because that was a fun ride indeed. So let's shift gears here. I want to talk about something involving DC Studios here, and we got some news this week that I think was maybe not so surprising, only because of the property, but we did learn that DC is moving on from The Authority. That was supposed to be the movie that they announced among that original slate. That movie's not happening. James Gunn said basically the script wasn't there, and therefore he wasn't going to move forward with it. So the Authority's not happening, but we've seen all these reports this week about another movie that has not been officially announced yet, but seems to be advancing along in a major way. So Deadline is reporting that Superbad's Greg Mottola, Greg Mottola is the lead candidate to direct the Deathstroke and Bane movie. So Mottola apparently in the lead, but then also Jeff Snyder saying that Ilya Nashuler, who has directed Nobody and Hardcore Henry, is also in the mix. This is a screenplay that's already been written by Matthew Orton. So the fact that there's a screenplay that has already been written that is now being shown to directors suggests that James Gunn thinks very highly of this film. I want to ask you guys, and I'll go to Sham first. Do you feel like a Deathstroke Bane movie is a winner for DC?
I think it could be. I think both of these characters have a lot of potential. I always think these villain movies are pretty risky, particularly when it comes to the Batman villains, particularly because of the history we have with them with the Suicide Squad movies. Even though the James Gunn one was good, and the Birds of Prey. I like Birds of Prey, but it was a flop.
Joker was 50-50.
Great
Joker movie.
You got a good Joker movie.
A classic, then a hot garbage one.
Then a horrible one that you don't want to acknowledge anymore. So it's like, they're very hit or miss. But these two characters can be really, really good. Deathstroke, I think I've only seen good live action Deathstrokes. I like the one we got in Titans, and I like the one we got obviously in Arrow. So
I
I
think
would
you say
regard it.
Joe. I think you say Joe Manganiello for
Yeah, I was
2
gonna say, what
seconds,
about
and
like Justice League?
Zack Snyder's Justice League.
Well,
I mean, he was only in the movie
that
for like what is a post credit scene for like 2 minutes or what,
yeah.
less than that. But yeah,
But yeah, I've only seen good live action Deathstrokes and quite frankly animated Deathstrokes. Deathstroke is just a character that I find that's kind of hard to mess up if you know because he's not. I hate to say he's not complicated, but you can do
no,
him well easily.
I
He's
agree.
very
I
mysterious.
don't think he's that deep. I
Yeah,
think that's fair to say. I don't think that's a diss to him. Sometimes characters aren't deep and they're still great. Joker is not deep,
yeah,
but he's a great
like
character, right?
Deathstroke.
Like
Yeah, like he's a great character, and Bane is also a great character, and he's one that you can kind of take it either way. You can go deeper with the character and kind of give him
yeah.
more of a backstory and give him more, or you can not, and he'd still be great. So I think this is I don't know if I'd say a slam dunk, but it can be really, really, really good. And the action with both of these characters can be really, really, really good, especially with the visual effects nowadays and like the stunt choreography and everything. Now, like this can be incredible. So I don't know. I think it could be really good, honestly. But it just needs to come together well. So that's the big thing that we just don't know.
I keep trying to think of what would be a story that would make sense potentially for Deathstroke and Bane to cross paths in a major way as two leads that would be viable for the big screen. I don't know what the plot is. The one thought I was thinking about as a bold move that I would do maybe if I was doing something like this is what if Ra's al Ghul is dead and it's a kind of battle for the cowl for the taking ownership of the League of Assassins, and it's Bane, leading his Santa Prisca thugs and wanting to take his part as the leader of the League of Assassins, and maybe it's Deathstroke who there have been different iterations where he has been a part of the League of Assassins, been an apprentice to Ra's al Ghul. Maybe he feels like it's his right, and maybe that's what the fight is about: is who should be the head of the League of Assassins, and that would allow you to bring in the more Batman element. You could have a Talia al Ghul in this movie. You could do a lot of things to kind of continue to build up the Batman lore for what they're trying to create for whenever we actually see Batman in this universe, which who knows when the hell that's going to be. But that was like a thought process I had, is like how could something like this work? Like we saw this with I forgot which movie it was, but one of I guess it was Son of Batman, right? Where the Son of Batman movie where they inserted Deathstroke in. He takes a hostile takeover of the League of Assassins, yes. And it puts Thalia in exile essentially, and that's where she has a real the Batman. I need your help. Also, by the way, you got a son. I wonder if there's going to be some influences from that movie in this movie, where maybe Talia is not going to Batman, but maybe she goes to Bane and be like, "Hey, man, like they took over the League of Assassins, and you're the only guy I know that could stop this guy." That is one way I think they can go, Ken. Are there any story ideas you were thinking as to how you could do a Deathstroke and Bane film?
I mean, we know that Gunn has a relationship, obviously, still with Viola Davis. Could they do a Waller centric, Argus centric? These guys are being sent on kind of a task force, that kind of thing. But like, yeah, maybe they're like, oh, the task force X thing's not working. We're not doing the Suicide Squad. We just want you two guys to go on a mission or something like that. Like, who knows? To me, look, can a Bane Deathstroke movie work? Absolutely, right? These are two great villains, two great characters who haven't been done proper justice, really, on this scale. Like you said, we've had great versions of Deathstroke at the television level, certainly in animation. And Bane, again, Dark Knight, he was solid, but maybe not to the level that we would have hoped. And of course, Batman Forever, I guess he looked fine, but no, I mean,
these
are two great characters. Or Batman and Robin, rather, right?
Yeah, Batman and Robin. Forever. Yeah, that was. Yeah,
it's just, those movies all good.
Bane.
But yeah, no, I mean, so we've had versions of these characters, but I feel like there's still a lot of meat on the bone for sure. Um, but Clayface, you can make a great Clayface movie, right? You could make a great Sergeant Rock movie. You can make a great, Booster Gold movie, but you don't start your DC universe with a Deathstroke and Bane movie, and that's still where my problem lies with a lot of the stuff I'm hearing from DC Studios is the order of operations, where the focus is from a studio perspective. I know they want to have great scripts and they want to just do great movies, but I just where the superhero genre is at, where their universe is at. I mean, these movies have to be so good to be worth it, right? I mean, we saw the first trailer to Clayface; it looked fine, but
I mean,
I
it was
asked
really
myself,
creepy. It was really creepy. It was like they really. I mean, it's a horror movie, no question.
They're
right,
going a horror angle.
right, and it's certainly not like, oh, you could have made this a Batman movie, right? It's like, all right, this is obviously very different, like you guys mentioned. But you wonder just what's the resources being put into this? What's the mental capital, the time capital, the financial capital that's being put into a Clayface movie, and that's now being put into Deathstroke and Bane, and maybe Teen Titans. And Teen Titans is certainly something that I am for. I think that's a smart story to push forward as early as you want to do it. But where's Brave and the Bold? Is the Brave and the Bold screenplay done? Do they have a director for Brave and the Bold? I know people ask James Gunn on Twitter or Threads. He's only responds on Threads, but I know people ask James Gunn on Threads constantly what's going on Brave and the Bold, and he gives the snarky answer every time. But it's really all that matters. It's getting to that X-Men MCU level of like, and look, and I think his big thing is we have to, we'll talk about Matt Reeves in a second. We have to get through Matt Reeves before we can, move forward with anything Brave and the Bold. Well, then you don't have a universe, man. I'm telling you, we'll keep saying it. You don't have a universe until you have a Batman, a DC universe.
Kind of sounding like me with the X-Men.
It's bad. It's bad.
It's like whenever we talk about these other Batman movies that James Gunn is like, well, where's Batman Brave and the Bold?
Yeah, I'm like, why are we doing Deathstroke and Bane with no? With
I need to get a drop now. I need to get a drop now where whenever one of us mentions where is the DCU's Batman, I need to have like the Batman animated series music. That just playing for a couple of seconds. Because that has now become the new thing now that the X-Men are more or less here pretty much. Soon, once we have to see the movie, we have to retire the X-Men drop. And then we'll have to get a new. But the Batman DCU Batman drop, it would be still, I think, very active for years. Cause I don't think we're anywhere close to that. So, yeah, Kendall, you're telling me that Marvel would have had trouble if they decided to start the Marvel Studios with Ant-Man?
Yeah,
I mean, those started, with I don't know, with multiple man, like that would have been an issue.
Yeah, there's plenty of you can see plenty of memes and stuff online of like, oh, the DCU's Marvel or James Gunn's Marvel universe, and it'll be like, it'll be Captain America or something like that is Iron Man, and then like, but then like or Captain America is like Superman, but then the second one is like Bucky. Something like that for Supergirl, something like that, and then it keeps going down the line of like these Peacemaker or something ridiculous in the Marvel universe. Like, why are we doing this? Creature Commandos is like, how did we do this order of operations? So, yeah, look, again, most of the stuff's been good, and everything I've seen so far going forward, I would suspect a lot of the stuff is good. Again, James Gunn has made quality, a priority for DC Studios. We know that we're going to have, a lot of Wonder Woman stuff, whether it be a Wonder Woman movie. The Paradise Lost thing is still actively in development. Of course, Man of Tomorrow's coming out, but it's just, again, not having Batman. Like, it's almost as bad as Marvel having gone so long without Spider-Man. It's just, it's trying to make a universe one hand tied behind your back. And at least Marvel wasn't trying to then be like, all right, we don't have Spider-Man, but we can still use Green Goblin. Or we can still use, Chameleon. You know, doesn't that Chameleon and Electro movie sound interesting? You know, we'll get Spider-Man somewhere 5 years down the line, but until we do that, it's like, no.
I mean, it's more or less what you're getting with the Sony universe. To be honest, it's
Yeah.
basically that. It's you're working around the center character and using villains and side characters to push content, but at a certain point, again, it's gonna be tough to do that without the main character that is Batman. So we'll see how this ends up shaking out. I again, I think about story ideas, I think about action. I think all those things are something that can be fun and something that can be exciting. But it will be interesting to see how much they can continue to
The
dance
last thing I'll
around
say is
the Batman aspect, the lack of Batman aspect of this.
do you think it'd be interesting to see a movie from like where they're actually the villains, but like, and then maybe there is a hero who's like on the opposite end of the spectrum that maybe they're going after, or that's going after them, like, and it's like I don't know, Green Arrow or something like that. Again, I know we always use Green Arrow as a Batman stand-in because you can't use Batman.
Here we go again.
You know, maybe it's like it's Green Owl's in prison or something like that, and they're going after him. I wonder if it's not something where, because the immediate reaction is always when you do the super villain movie is we gotta either make them an anti-hero or a hero in general, right? And it's like, do we really need to see Deathstroke and Bane, on the side of good? Like, do we really
I never want
to
to see. I never want to see Deathstroke or Bane doing anything good. They're not good
right
people. They're not.
And so
sometimes
that's where
we fall into that trap a lot with villains that are cool that we somehow have to make them redeeming. And I don't. Oftentimes I don't think that is. I don't think that is even creative.
And that's where your story that you pitched doesn't fall trap to that, right? It is a lot more of just like a Mortal Kombat kind of thing, It's just like these are bad people that are just happen to be in the same arena, So I think that's something that I'm certainly wondering if that's what they're focusing on.
Yeah, it's a very good question to ask, Kendall, no question. And speaking of the Batman universe, not DCU's Batman, but the actual Batman, Matt Reeves' Batman, the Batman 2 is officially in production, and Matt Reeves posted some photos to confirm that, and we got a sneak peek at some of the work and the behind-the-scenes stuff that's happening. Director Matt Reeves posted a picture of the Batmobile's wheels driving through what looks like a snowy Gotham City. When fans reposted and quote tweeted this post, kind of theorizing that it appears that there's going to be a winter setting for the next installment of Reeves' Caped Crusader. Reeves seemed to co-sign a lot of those tweets with supportive emojis moving forward. So the Batman 2 apparently will take place in a winter setting, which is a little interesting because all of the conversations we've had about the Batman 2 being inspired by the long Halloween. And of course, famously, Halloween is not Christmas. Halloween is not in winter. So Sham, you're obviously a super fan of Matt Reeves' work. You're very big into what they've done with the Batman. Do you like the setting shift of this movie taking place during wintertime?
Oh, I love it. Yeah, Batman in the snow is always fun. Obviously, we know all the Mr. Freeze stories, Sub-Zero, I point to also Arkham Origins as well, also winter.
I point to Batman Returns.
Batman Returns.
Look,
it's another one.
While we're at it,
which is a Christmas movie, by the way. For those who always don't give it credit, it is a Christmas movie.
Indeed, it is.
Fair enough. I also point to the Batman cartoon with Batman in the all white.
The all white Batman.
Oh,
ooh,
man.
Yeah, that's slick. It's slick as well.
That was slick.
Yeah, Batman in snow is always fun. It's never not fun. It's always, always a good time. And the Batmobile in snow is always a good time. There's never anything that is bad about that. And then Batman on like Christmas, Bruce Wayne is, of course, he's Bruce Wayne, so he's not making all of that stuff. But it's Christmas, so like, but of course he's Batman, so he's out protecting Gotham on Christmas, making sure these thugs and these freaks or whatever aren't terrorizing the city. So yeah, it's fantastic. Again, one of those things is Matt Reeves is like, Matt Reeves, he understands the character, understands, what works and, what people want to see. So, this is only a good decision. Of course we're seeing all this stuff about the dents and stuff, but being in the snow, I'm just like, man, are we getting freeze? Is there any chance?
That's what I was gonna
of any
ask. Do
kind
you
of
feel like
Mister
do you feel
Freeze,
do you
Victor
feel
Freeze.
like this do you feel like this increases the chances that we do get Mr. Freeze? We've heard a lot about, like you said, the dents being a big part of this movie.
Yes, I think it. Yeah, I think it greatly increases the chances. Honestly, greatly increases the chances. Um, this is the second movie, third.
It's like confirmed, man. I mean, we
All right,
barely got
well,
this one.
yeah,
Let's just
yeah,
be
yeah,
glad we got this one, and we'll
Yeah,
see where it goes.
but
We think it's gonna be a trilogy.
yeah,
Yes.
it's like it's bigger. The sequel is bigger. Like we can get more than one villain. So
When was the last time we had a Batman movie with only one villain? Was it the last one? Was the last one you consider Riddler
the
the only
last
villain in
one,
that one?
no, I think
Penguin.
there's
yeah,
more than one villain.
Yeah, you had Penguin, you had Catwoman. Technically, so
Penguin's
yeah,
in
no.
it, Catwoman's in it, Joker's in it.
When was the last
No,
time we had a Batman villain with only one
yeah,
villain?
that's what I'm
I
saying.
don't
So
think there's ever. I don't know if
let's
there's
go
ever. I don't think there's ever been a movie. Maybe the first. Maybe Batman
yeah,
'89.
Batman
That's probably the
nine.
last one.
right. Yeah, so I think it's
And
I think
Harvey
it's
Dent's in
very
that movie. He's
possible.
not. I don't think he's Two Face, but he's in the movie.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think it's very possible. I think it could be fantastic, like in terms of in this Gotham. Um, and we've seen the Mister Freeze story done well, like multiple times. He has such a great story. Um, so yeah, this is just very exciting. I can't wait for this movie. I think we're in for a treat with this one.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out where Dent and Freeze could fit in a movie. You don't see, at least in my memory or my knowledge of the Batman mythos, you don't see that much crossover between those two guys. So I kind of I'm not as like optimistic that this will be a Mister Freeze movie. I feel like this is probably more just circumstance that like the last movie took place during fall, and then therefore because this movie's not advancing that far, we're going to have this movie be in winter. I think so. I that's kind of where I lean in terms of where this is going, but certainly I would welcome Mister Freeze being a part of this in this movie, and I would welcome um, bringing in someone who this Mister Freeze is not necessarily supernatural, but bringing in someone who is super powered or at least has super powered tech, and bringing that as an element to this very realistic world, he would I think kind of be the perfect kind of like he's like straddling the line of like how goofy we're gonna get with like someone with superpowers in this world. Like I don't know how realistic it is to have again some of these super powered people in the Batman with what Matt Reeves is trying to create. Like I don't know if someone like Clayface would work in what they're doing with the Batman. But I think like Mr. Freeze, okay, could you tell me someone has the technology to I know it sounds insane when you say it out loud because you're like this is only happening in comic books. Someone that can manipulate molecules of cold and for a city that just was underwater cause hell in that way. Yeah, that seems a little more believable and seems more in line with like where the story left off into where they can go next. So from that standpoint, I think I could see it. I do feel like it is more likely this is a true Harvey Dent story. I don't think you're paying Sebastian Stan all the money he's getting paid to likely leave Marvel for him to kind of play a side role in this. And I don't know if there's a role or a reality where he is as big as villain Two Faces. He is somehow second fiddle to even someone like Mister Freeze. So that is kind of where I see this.
or
I don't
even
know how you
Bird
see.
because we also have Scarlett Johansson in it.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah,
Potentially
that's
Bird
another.
Fiddle.
That's a great point, right? And we've heard nothing about a Freeze casting, by the way, nothing. So
No.
I,
Now
they could
the
be
the,
keeping it under
the
wraps, but it's just something to note.
yeah, I mean, I the thing I think about is like you said, what we've heard about this movie so far is not much, right? But we've heard again the dents. We've heard they were looking to cast Christopher Dent, the dad. They're looking to
Yeah,
cast Harvey Dent. Well, obviously, they've got Harvey Dent and they've got Scarlett Johansson. Um, it is like what we got in the first Batman movie was we went down the line. Like, there's a lot of characters. Of course, it's very much Riddler, but then they found ways to infuse Penguin. They found ways to infuse the Falcone and Maroni, and
Mm-hmm.
again, Catwoman's in there. So And of course, they use that to then do a spinoff. Of course, Gordon, obviously, they were going to do a Gordon spinoff at first, and now we ended up doing a Penguin spinoff. Penguin, I guess, will be back, of course, but it sounds like he's not going to be in it that much either. And I know we're all very excited to see, Colin Farrell again. But there is space for sure to throw in other characters, right? You'll have Alfred, you'll have, obviously Bruce Wayne, but there's still speculation. Will we get Robin, right? James Gunn doesn't seem to be focusing on doing Dick Grayson as Robin in his DCU. Is it just because he wants Nightwing and he doesn't want to do Dick Grayson Robin? It's possible. It's possible that he just prefers Nightwing and he doesn't like Dick Grayson Robin. Or is it because they know that Matt Reeves already has plans for Dick Grayson Robin, and so they feel like we got to do something different. His dependence on wanting to do the Teen Titans but not use Dick Grayson makes me wonder if they do know that they're not, that they can't use Dick Grayson, or that they probably shouldn't use Dick Grayson because we already have one. So a lot of people wondering about what's the deal with Robin. Some people being like, "Oh, I see a passenger seat in the in the Batmobile. He didn't have one in the last one." I'm like, I don't know, man. I don't look too hard in that stuff, but so that's obviously on the radar for sure. But you talk about Mr. Freeze, and just like Penguin, like I don't know if Mr. Freeze has to be. He's Mr. Freeze, right? So any inclusion of Victor Freeze is going to make Batman fans and DC fans lose their mind, regardless. Just like it did with Penguin, right? Where he could play a bit role, he could show up as a scientist that and they can maybe do the Nora Freeze, storyline in the background, and maybe it's something where they decide if that character is well liked, we could do a whole Mr. Freeze spinoff show like on HBO or on Max. Like I don't know what their plan is, but I'd be surprised if the only new Batman characters that we get are just the Dents. And the winter setting does lend itself to Mr. Freeze, but there are plenty of other characters that Batman villains that work in this universe. We've talked obviously ad nauseum about Hush and the Court of Owls, whether or not they play into it all. Scarecrow, somebody we haven't had in a minute, who would work a lot in this world. So there's a lot of characters they can introduce. Given the amount of time it's taken for them to do this, and to get this movie off the ground, I'm not going to say it'd be disappointing, but it'd be a little surprising if they didn't elect to kind of expand the world out and just decided to use decided to only throw in 2 or 3 more new characters. So I think they'll probably use another Batman villain or 2 that we're not thinking of, or that we haven't heard of yet. And that could be Mr. Freeze, and that could be where the winter setting plays a role, even if again he's not the top billing or not the most important villain in the movie.
Yeah, I mean, as Kendall said, it's been very rare you've seen any Batman movie that is went with just one primary villain. So we know Harvey Dent is in this movie. They're pushing as Harvey Dent, not Two-Face yet. So we'll have to see if maybe there's a larger threat or a threat that's alongside Harvey Dent and Two-Face that becomes apparent when this movie drops, so we get more details on this film. And last thing before we get out of here, man, I do want to talk about some promo art that dropped for season 2 of X-Men 97. That's coming this summer, so we're right around the corner from X-Men 97. The fact that we're going to have X-Men 97 and a My Adventures Superman season 3 going band for band yet again in the summer is going to be electric, and I cannot wait. I talked a lot about X-Men, I talked a lot about My Adventures Superman and the promo for that on 40 Days and Counting if you want to catch some of that content, because Cyborg Superman and Superboy is coming to the new season of My Adventures Superman. If you've not watched My Adventures Superman, you should. It is a phenomenal, awesome show. So along with that show happening this summer, you also have X-Men 97 dropping its second season, and the promo art that has been dropping for the last few days has unveiled in many ways what we can expect for this upcoming season. So We're gonna have, of course, as we left last season, you had the teams that were basically split up. You had one X-Men team that is in the past. You got one X-Men team that is in the future, and then you got a bunch of people left over that are trying to figure out what to do in the current day. And what was cool about some of the promo art is that we're essentially gonna have multiple different teams featured. So we will have, again, the X-Men team stuck in the past. That includes Magneto, Charles Xavier, Rogue, and Bishop eventually is going to join them, and Beast. And then you got the X-Men in the future that are with, a young Cable. By the way, the X-Men in the past are getting introduced to a young Apocalypse. The X-Men in the future are getting introduced to a young Cable. That includes Cyclops, Jean Grey, Wolverine, and Nightcrawler. Meanwhile, the last season ended with Cable and Ford trying to figure out who to recruit and what mutants out there are left for them to grab. Seems like Cable is going to form his own X-Force team that will include Cable, Psylocke, Jubilee, Sunspot, and Archangel, a character we didn't see. Both him and Psylocke didn't play roles in season one, though we saw them as morph, turning into them at certain points in the season. But they will be actual parts of an X team for this upcoming year. And then you'll have X Factor. That'll include Polaris, the classic X Factor team. So Polaris, Havoc, Wolfsbane, Strong Guy, Multiple Man, and it looks like Val Cooper will be a part of that team as well. We then also see some artwork for what will be, I guess, the X-Men team when they return to the new contemporary term, and they are dressed in costumes that look reminiscent of the new X-Men run by Grant Morrison that was in at the turn of the new millennium, which suggests that we're actually maybe going to see some time jump, and perhaps the X-Men will enter the 21st century in this season or at some point down the line really soon. So exciting stuff happening with the X-Men and the promo art that we're seeing. Sham, of all these teams that are being revealed, which one of these are you most excited to see debut in season 2 of X-Men 97?
Ooh. Most excited to see. I guess. I guess that honestly, of the teams that you mentioned, I guess the team that's still in the past probably is see where that goes. Um, I have to. I got to rewatch X-Men 97. Honestly, it's been a minute. But I would like to see where that
You don't
story
rewatch
goes.
it every couple. You don't watch it every couple months like I do. You're not a
No,
sicko like
yeah.
me. Well, I've
I
watched
should
season.
honestly.
I've watched season 1 of
Yeah.
X-Men 97 probably like 4 times at this point.
Yeah, no, I've only done one watch and then maybe like I think I did like maybe one rewatch, but even that was a while ago. You forget time just flies by. But yeah, I am I'm curious to see how things kind of progress with that team that's in the past. Um and I know you mentioned Apocalypse and them kind of interacting with him and that being a threat and seeing how that develops. But all of those teams, honestly, it seems like they're adding a lot of characters, which is very exciting. Um, and the story, I expect this story, similar to the last one, to be very kind of a winding road. Um, and the animation, of course, has just been incredible. That's the thing that I'm most honestly, uh, and I wouldn't even say concerned, but most like excited to see is to see
Mm.
the animation continue to be as high level as it was last season, and maybe even improve, hopefully. Um, so yeah, but I'm not concerned about any kind of story drop off or anything like that because they're adding more characters. They're still working with, obviously Sans Bo DeMeo, which we've litigated that already. But yeah, I'm super excited for the next season, and then this art looks incredible. The art that they've promoted so far, so yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
So last season was 10 episodes, if I'm not mistaken, right? So 10
Yes.
episodes.
That's around there. Yeah.
10 episodes. They're introducing 4 new teams. Like, I will be very curious, Kendall, how they balance that. Like, I mean, X Factor will be a team that we basically don't know very much except for if you watch the X Factor episode from the first show, which I think is only one episode, and it's a random one where the X-Men get crossed up with the X Factor team. They're now back, which is gonna be interesting. But I assume like that's not gonna be just like a little teaser or whatever, like a little cameo. This is going to be like a real, I assume, episode surrounded with Polaris and Havoc. And one of the things we saw in the new team that gets established when they get to the current day X-Men is Polaris is part of the X-Men, wearing those new costumes. So like Polaris would be a new member of the X-Men when they get all together and they're all united in the current run or the current modern day times, whatever that means, right? I'm assuming it's going to be a battle with Apocalypse because he was set up last season as the potential villain for this season. Kendall, do you have any worries about their abilities to balance these various different teams in a way that will give them all justice, given that I assume this will be another 10 episode season?
I'm not too concerned by that. I mean, I think, I don't imagine that they're going to belabor too much in these different timelines. I feel like they'll probably try and link everybody back up by, for at least by the 5th episode. I would imagine we will.
Oh, write it down. Kendall's saying by episode 5,
yeah,
they'll be back.
5, I think they'll be back, and it could be even sooner than that. Now, look, I mean, I'm with Shamari. I'm certainly interested to see that Apocalypse story play itself out. There's, almost any time we see young, En Salvador, it's an interesting story. Yeah. At least in animation. Live action is a whole other conversation, but it's
Salvador. Salvador.
That was great. That was the post-credit scene for Days of Future Past.
Yeah.
But then after that, it was all downhill from there. But no, yeah, I mean, it's it's going to be exciting. Like you said, we have a lot of different new teams, a lot of different new characters, and like I said, I'm curious to see how forward they go. When they do get back to present day, and of course, always interested to see what's going to happen with the Apocalypse storyline in present day as well. And do we get Gambit back? As Death, and is that a storyline that's something that's obviously going to be something that they try and push forward. So there's a lot of interesting things that they've got in store. And I'm curious because even season 1, like, we didn't know for sure, like, they were going in the Bastion angle. Not until, halfway through was that really even in the conversation. So
yeah,
where they're going with this season, we may not know. Like, could they somehow turn this into an Onslaught thing? I don't see it right now, but that could start to formulate by 3-4 episodes in.
The way they played it last season, they played it as Mr. Sinister as the villain, with like the promo that they revealed and some of the very little plot details and synopses that they were giving. They played it close to the vest. There was no whisper of Bastion being involved in season 1, and he was involved in a major way. And I think the beauty about animation is you can play more games with keeping things close to the vest than you can with live action. Like, at the end of the day, like, some agent is gonna tell somebody that this guy or this gal got eyed for this role. Yeah. Like, we've seen Marvel and DC both try their hardest to try to like keep big things under wraps with characters they want to bring in, but surprise people with. But just the nature of Hollywood makes some of that work impossible. There's no way to hide that this guy just got signed by Marvel because his agent's got to tell Variety so he can get the credit for it or whatever. Like, there's some things that just you can't do. There's physical people that have to be on set that you will see show up, and like you need them to be Vincent D'Onofrio telling a story about how when he was at Daredevil Born Again season 3 shootings, he'd be like, it's so ridiculous them doing these things with the cloaks. He's like, I'm walking around the set and they moving around Mike Coulter with a cloak, and it's like, we all see that it's you, bro. Like, you're 6'4". You're like, it can't be anybody else but him. And then he takes off the cloak when he gets on set. So then what difference does it make? Because he's now he's Mike Holt. Now he's Luke Cage. He's like, I was walking around in this ridiculous cloak during Hawkeye, and it's like, everybody knows it's me. Everybody knows who I am. But these are the kind of, like, I'm getting whisked away in a trailer, and okay, now we can bring him in. They're trying to rush me in a cloak. I got a cloak over my suit. It just was ridiculous. And these are the things that in artwork and animation you don't have to worry about. You don't have to worry about hiding your Bastion, promo art. You just don't show it to anybody, and then that's it. As long as your hard drive doesn't get leaked, you'll be fine. And most people aren't as also invested in animation as they are in live action content anyway. So it's a lot easier to keep that stuff under wraps. So it's definitely a different energy, a different challenge that is not nearly as difficult. So we keep saying apocalypse, but Kendall said maybe it's Onslaught, maybe it's some other thing that we're not expecting. Like, there's a lot of different ways they can go potentially with this X-Men season, and I'm leaving all things available after what I saw last year, because they flipped the script and it ended up being just masterclass. I think just truly one of the best superhero content things I've seen in animation or live action done. It was season 1 of X-Men 97, man, and I can't wait for what they end up doing for season 2. But I think that's a good place to leave it, guys. This has been a fun episode. I want to thank you guys so much for checking out this edition of Hero Talk. Of course, if you like these episodes, you can catch all these episodes wherever you get your podcasts. Just search New Generation Podcast Network on Apple, Spotify, SoundCloud, Stitcher, and TuneIn, or like I said, anywhere you get your podcasts. Also, these episodes get posted to our YouTube channel, so search New Generation Media. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. By the way, brand new logo. The color scheme was not reflected in this video, but you'll see different color scheme, different logo for future episodes of a New Generation Hero Talk, which will be really exciting. That we're excited to do, and we've done a great job, really, giving you some phenomenal content for 10 years and celebrating that with a new look and a new logo. Not just for the whole station. Of course, we got a new logo for Imperial Broadcast that Shamari and Kendall will be debuting in the next episode that they do. So that'll be exciting to see revealed as well. So we got a lot of great stuff happening this year. A lot of fun stuff to be excited about in 2026 as we keep this thing trucking along. And be sure to follow us on social media as well. Of course, you can follow me on X, EJ_Stewart, Instagram, and TikTok, Action EJ. You can find Kendall on X, New Gen Ken, and Shamari on Snapchat, MCSham22. And that's going to do it. I want to thank you guys again so much for checking out Hero Talk. This was an absolute blast. We'll be back very soon with another episode of Hero Talk, talking all things Marvel, DC, TV, animation. This is what we do here. This is what New Generation Hero Talks about. This is what New Generation Media is about. It's about having fun, being engaged, and trying to entertain, which is what I think we've been doing a good job of for the last 10 years. So I want to thank my guys, Shamari and Kendall. I want to thank you, the viewer and listener. For Kendall, for Shamari, I'm EJ. Take it easy, guys. Peace.